And no one against it?
Okay. We'll declare the council meeting open and we'll stand for the affirmation. We recognise the traditional owners of the land. We're inspired by early pioneers and by those who gave their lives for our country. We now ask God's blessing on our deliberations and on our commitment to build a better lifestyle and environment. I'd just like to say that this council meeting is being recorded and live streamed to council's YouTube channel. The recording will also be made available on council's website. Whilst all care is being taken to ensure that your privacy is maintained, please be aware that your presence may be recorded. Okay, any apologies? No apologies? Any declaration of conflict of interest? None recorded. We'll go over to reports from officers. 3.1, preparation of the budget 23-24.
I'm happy to read that extensive recommendation. That Council approves in principle the proposed budget 2023-24 as required by Section 94 of the Local Government Act 2020. 2, invite submissions until close of business on the 15th of June 2023 and provide submitters with the opportunity to be heard in person by Council. 3, hears any submission on any proposal or proposals contained in the proposed budget at the Council meeting to be held at 12:30 on the 26th of June 2023 at the Perry Room in St Arnaud Town Hall. And 4, considers the adoption of the budget and the declaration and levy of rates and charges for the 2023-24 financial year at the Council meeting to be held at 12:30 on the 26th of June 2023 at the Perry Room, St Arnaud Town Hall.
Have a move, seconder?
Second, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Dempsey.
I'll stay standing. So this is a draft council budget that's being put out to the community. We've extensively gone through it as council laws and staff, and it's a chance for community members to make submissions before we approve it before the end of financial year. So a few things to highlight is that this 2023-24 budget has been formed on the basis of our 10-year financial plan that's been developed in line with our council plan 21-25, so it encompasses those documents. The proposed budget complies with the 3.5% rate cap that's been set by the Minister for Local Government. In terms of waste and recycling curbside collection charges, they're excluded from the rate capping requirements, and so Council has determined that no increases in charges will be made as the current waste levies are sufficient. So that's a good thing there. And the proposed budget also includes the next phase through the revenue and rating plan in terms of the floating differential model that we adopted last year. And so the intent of that model is to fix the proportion of rates paid by each property type, so eliminating rate shock causing by disproportionate valuation movements between property types. And it's adopted that Council phase this over the 4-year period, returning the proportion of rates paid by each property type to historical levels. So in addition to that, the rating and revenue plan phases out the municipal charge by the 2025-26 financial year, which is something that Council adopted, I think, last year to reduce that rate shock that will have effect of benefiting low-value properties, so trying to reduce the proportion rates there. So that's just some of the, I guess, highlights of the document that we're presenting today and why it is the way it is. Thank you.
Councillor Starcevic.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just building on what Councillor Dempsey spoke about was the change to the way that the rates will be levied, and it has made a marked difference to the previous rate shock that we the previous rate shock that we had, where we had upwards of 500 rateable notices that were going to be receiving in excess of 50% increases in their rates, to this year only 95. Now, that's on the back of 48% rate rise in capital improved value for properties the previous year, with an increase in CIV of around about 22 or 24% this year. So there's a significant benefit to the model that has been developed and implemented over the past year and going forward. So it's looking rather promising. This is the second year in which the municipal charge will be reduced by a further quarter. So therefore that will also have an impact on the lower socioeconomic groups. So overall, I think we can quote Graham in saying it's a responsible and steady budget with very little therefore to create a rate shock for the community. There are some interesting points in the budget that we have to recognise. Some of them are the result of cost shifting onto councils. There's no question about that. Immunisation has been seen as a modern saviour over the past 3 or 4 years, and yet we receive no state contribution towards the immunisation facilities for our youth, for our children. And in fact, I think, if I'm not mistaken, immunisation costs, the costs are about $68,000, $78,000 a year. Ratepayer contribution is about $45,000, or 2/3 of the cost. There's a $3,000 contribution from the government. That's well short of what would be a reasonable exercise. The continuation of this cost shift goes to maternal and child health, where we see untied grants, fortunately, where we can attribute those at $52,000, but there's still a very significant ratepayer contribution of $120,000. The list does go on. We still are in hiatus about how we're going to manage our aged care. It's a significant issue for us at local government level. We continue to see the NDIS rollout falter, flag, be subject to $74 or $75 billion in the forward estimates of 4 years being reduced by the federal government. We need some clarity. That clarity is well overdue. So consequently, we do want to provide the best for our aged citizens, because they have contributed to where we are now. We can't afford to let them fall or slip, and to that end, we do need to continue our advocacy for aged care, immunisation, childcare and the like. And thank you, Mr Mayor.
Any other councillors wish to speak? Councillor Ezel.
I just want to add, we're really pleased with this budget. We think it's a responsible budget. It is a draft budget, and we'd really look forward to people having a look at the budget and putting their comments in. So we would love to have submissions because we form our final budget in response to those submissions. So have a look at it and please give us some feedback.
Any other councillors wish to speak? Just a query. I think in the budget it shows 14.8 for community and I've forgotten the title now. Is there any explanation around why such large, and perhaps maybe a bit of comment around the infrastructure spend in this draft budget?
Yes, Mr Mayor. So the operational number of 14 million, I understand. A large portion of that goes to our road infrastructure maintenance spend, and obviously the operations of our outdoor staff, including parks and gardens, for example. I believe it's somewhere in the 1.8 mil. It's those things that all build together to keep us working from a day-to-day that fill that $14 million number that you mentioned. Thanks.
Perhaps a little comment around the infrastructure spend, the new infrastructure spend for this year?
From budget to budget, it's very similar, but we have got a slight backlog in our forecast from year to year, and that's with our major projects starting to come through and coming to an end. We are starting to see a more consistent flow of works coming forward that isn't as programs aren't as large as what they were previously. Things around building projects and whatnot, we've had some quite large major building projects over the last few years. They're not as significant moving forward as per our planning. Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks very much for that explanation. And by the way, congratulations on taking out an award at the, the Engineers Forum in Melbourne.
Yes, we come away with the award for our asset management at the Institute of Public Works Engineers Australia over the last week. And yes, we're very happy to come away with that award. It was unexpected, but no, we're very proud of our achievements there. Thank you.
You should be very proud too, so well done. All right, Councillor Dempsey, you wish to sum up?
Thank you. I'll echo the sentiments of congratulations as well to Trenton and the team. I think the only thing to sum up, everyone's done a reasonable job with all the information provided so far, but for community to take a look at the budget and be able to provide feedback, submissions, or if you have any queries, please do contact, because it sometimes might not be an easy document to follow or understand, and council staff can explain some of that. But please get in your submissions as well, as Councillor Hislop stated, so we can get feedback from the community on how to move forward.
Okay, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Motion's carried. Item 3.2, review of the Council Plan 2021 to 25.
Yes, I'd like to recommend this one. Do you want me to read it out straight away? The recommendation is that Council gives public notice relating to the proposed revised Council Plan 2021 to 2025 and considers the approval of the Council Plan at a meeting of Council to be held in St Arnaud on 26th of June 2023, after considering any formal submissions that may be received.
Have a mover, get a seconder?
I'm happy to second that.
Councillor Haswell, wish to speak?
Yes. The background rationale to the Council Plan is it was originally adopted at the beginning of this term of Council, and it's reviewed each year as revised to include actions which support the delivery of the goals set out in the plan. A revised plan was adopted last year through the course of 2022-23, and a number of amendments have been made. The list of these amendments is below. I think it's a bit too long. There's probably 30 different things there I can see. But some of the important ones were delivery of Central Park football change rooms, delivery of the develop the Stuart Mill community plan, review of the early learning centre, open space transport strategy and implementation plan, undertake a food and green organic waste compost trial, and the list goes on. So it's So the purpose of this is to consider the revised Council Plan 2021 to 25 and to resolve to make it available for public comment in accordance with the Council's community engagement policy and sections 55 and 90 of the Local Government Act 2020. Thank you.
Councillor Hislop.
Just to clarify, Rob, 39 actions.
So 9 more than I...
Yeah, so 39 actions have been admitted throughout the year. And look, basically, these have been changes because we look at what's reasonable, what we can achieve, and it's being realistic about what we want to achieve for the Northern Grampians Shire. So it's always a work in progress, and there have been a lot of changes, but a lot of good changes. So happy to second the recommendation.
Any other councillors wish to speak?
Yes, please. I think we've just been briefed on this topic, and it shows that the plan is really a dynamic plan rather than being static. So we're actually reassessing as we go along based on community action plans and smaller plans that come through from underneath this larger plan. So to be able to continue to adapt based on community need, emerging need, grants, areas we deem need some attention as well. So that's why there is can be a significant number of changes, and I think that really is a credit and a testament to not just having a document on the shelf that we just follow for 4 years, but actually be able to provide the necessary changes as we go along. Really shows that we as a council can adapt to community need and promote what's relevant at the time. So I think that yes, the council plan, the proposed changes is good. So once again, community, take a look. We can get your thoughts and see if we think it's worth approving, which it's quite good. So thank you.
Any other councillors wish to speak? Excuse me. Just to note that the items removed from the council plan, a lot of them have been completed, and those that have been removed are not necessarily drop off the radar, but just been pushed back a little bit. So they won't be forgotten. They will be addressed at some stage, and yes, if we can get some feedback on the council plan, that'd be good. Councillor Haswell, you wish to sum up?
Oh, just one extra thing. I just noticed on the list that on the list we've got conduct heritage study review. Now, this is very important for our town because we have a lot of heritage sites that are not actually protected at the moment, and in order to protect these sites going forwards, buildings especially, we need to have a proper study and a proper review so as we can have a proper heritage overlay over the area. Thank you.
Okay, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Motion's carried. Item 3.3, Halls Gap Hall lease approval.
Yes, Mr Mayor, I'd like to move that that the council enters into the new lease agreement with the Halls Gap Community Association, A003209D, for the use of part of the hall, and authorise the Chief Executive's Officer to sign the relevant lease documents as agreed by all the parties. Thank you.
The mover is
second, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Emerson. Councillor Grady, you wish to speak on it?
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. The purpose of the report of the council is to finalise an approved process to enter into a new formal agreement lease with the Community Association for the use of part of the Halls Gap Hall according to commencing on the 1st of July 23 for a 5-year term and options of 3 further 5-year terms and 1 further 1-year term. The Halls Gap and Grampians Historical Society provides a valuable service to the community of Halls Gap and the visitors to the town, and has occupied part of the hall for many years. The society is now annexed under the Community Association of Halls Gap, and entering into the lease agreement with the association will ensure the ongoing security of the tenanture for this society. Thank you.
Councillor Emerson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Nothing further to add.
Any other councillors wish to speak? Wish to sum up at all, Councillor Grady?
Mr Mayor, I think that was pretty well covered it. Thank you.
Okay, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Motion's carried. Item 3.4, Stall Cemetery Expansion Project.
I'm happy to move the officer's recommendation that council endorses the proposed concept plan so construction works can be planned and commence.
I'll second that plan, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Haswell. Councillor Heslop.
So this current Stall Lawn Cemetery has a capacity for up to a further 3 years, so this is why this has come about. We have done a lot of consultation with the neighbouring residents, so there was letters sent out and emails sent to neighbouring residents. A few people did comment. They were totally in support of this project. So this area will provide around 5,500 plots in total, which would cater for the next 80 to 100 years. So look, it makes a lot of sense. We don't really have a choice. We have to accommodate for this. So and people are supportive of it in the area, so I'm happy to move the offer's recommendation.
Councillor Haswell.
Nothing further, Mr Mayor.
Any other councillors wish to speak? Just a comment. I think it's a good concept plan. I know the current lawn cemetery was supposed to accommodate for nearly 50 years. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to reach that period. So hopefully this one will accommodate 80 to 100 years. And our cemetery, which people pay a lot of attention to, having loved ones buried down there, and it is an important part of our social fabric. So I think this plan looks good and will hopefully accommodate Stawell for many years to come. Councillor Heslop, wish to sum up?
Nothing further to add.
I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? It's carried. Item 3.5, St Arnaud and Stawell Tourism Plan Implementation Brand Story Decision.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move that Council authorise the Stawell and St Arnaud brand strategy and identity. Is that the one?
Second?
Happy to second.
Last year, Council, I'm assuming it was last year, I've lost track of years, I'm afraid. Over the past couple of years, Council have gone through a review of the way in which our visitor information centres and our branding and our strategy to bring people into our Shire, not just Halls Gap, although Halls Gap and the Grampians are a key tourism destination. I believe it's in the top 4 of the state, or in fact the country. However, we've got such a large number of people migrating through to Halls Gap and to the Grampians. It would be really prudent for Council to consider extending the way in which we attract those people to other parts of our Shire. Marnoo, St Arnaud, Stawell, Great Western, the whole lot. So back last year, I believe, we adopted a position where we would take on the tourism and branding activities under our own banner. And to that end, we've got now a group of volunteers in Stawell at the Visitor Information Centre adjacent to us, and also at St Arnaud. We have developed event strategies that support the move into the region. We now have branding strategies and branding that identify St Arnaud, Stawell, Great Western, Halls Gap and others. So this is all by way of making sure that the wider Shire take full advantage of the tourism dollar that comes into our Shire, and not just in a concentrated area. So I do commend this to Council. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Dempsey.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillor Starcevich did cover off on what I was going to say, which is fine. It's great. It makes my job easier. A point of note is the project also offers the opportunity to develop and align promotion alongside Grampians tourism. So that's another highlight of the plan. It's come out through the emerging need of the tourism strategy and action plan, as was stated, has been developed for the last 10 years, for the next 10 years for Stawell and St Arnaud, and identified need that we don't have a lot of branding or brochures in terms of other areas apart from Halls Gap. So really trying to look at that economic value and tourism aspect of bringing people into our community for that immersive experience. And it was also identified through that the plan identified that towns need a brand story, and that's where this brand strategy has come from. So a number of things that will come through from this will be marketing and communications plan, town flags, digital marketing, storyboard clips, brochures, things like that as well, as photography, and we've seen some great video shoots and photography promoting our space as well more broadly, that we can then be able to take that and take it more further as well. One thing that was also identified is it's really a word of mouth thing as well. Council can have all the resources and the information to promote, but it does come down to the community valuing where we live and promoting the positives of that as well, so we can attract more people into our area, which will boost economic growth, keep businesses running, jobs available as well. So I think for those of you to be able to do that as well is a good thing for this to have this strategy in place to then promote further. Thank you.
Any other councillors wish to speak?
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. Just a quick comment. Councillor Stasevich was suggesting 2 or 3 years. I've been talking about this for 10 years. I'm glad it's now made the grade. I think we've been a bit slow on the uptake, and I hope in a couple of minutes' time it is voted in the affirmative to progress the tourism in Stawell and St Arnaud.
Any other councillors wish to speak? Yeah, look, I'd congratulate all involved in this and those who participated from the community. One thing that's really striking is the colours that they've chosen for the branding. It's they're deep, rich colours, which I think depicts this area very well and very appropriate. Councillor Stasevich, you wish to sum up?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillor Emerson, I do apologise. I've only been on in this game for 2 years, so it's the young duck here that's talking about it. Look, the thing that we've really got to get the integration of this branding, the integration of events. I mean, the stall gift, the Grape Escape. These are, and others. Great Western Rodeo, when it finally comes back onto deck. These are major events that bring more than 500 people, in fact thousands of people, to the district. We need to now foster greater engagement with events. We need many more events that are routine and become entrenched within the communities, and to that end I commend to the community to come up with these events, because these are community-driven things that will stay the test of time. Anyone outside of the region that tries to put an event on generally finds that they don't have that longevity. We need longevity. We need events that are 500, 5,000, 10,000, so that we can get more people through. And Councillor Dempsey, thank you for raising all of the other issues that I just completely froze my brain out of. So thank you, Mr Mayor.
Okay, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Motion's carried. Item 3.6, St Arnaud Pre-Prep Modular Building Location.
Mr Mayor, thank you. I recommend that Council approves the construction of the modular building to accommodate kindergarten and pre-prep in St Arnaud on the car park at Market Square, which, that'll do.
Get a seconder?
I'll second that, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Stasevich.
Pre-prep, look, there've been. This has been a very open discussion within the St Arnaud community. St Arnaud is particularly lucky, as is the case for Stawell. We've got a good early learning childhood centre. We've got prep, and we've got primary schools and a secondary school. This adds on to the ability for our community to support 3-year-old and 4-year-olds through kinder. This is a direct result, frankly, of this council's work on the front foot with government when the 3-year-old kinder trials were proposed. To that end, this council is among 4 or 6 councils, 4, Mr Mayor? 4 councils in the state to have received this funding to develop 4-year-old kinder. This funding is only for 4-year-old kinder. The state government does provide operations support for 3 and 4-year-old kinder. However, this infrastructure build is for the 4-year-old kinder only at this stage. However, we're blessed to have more than 33 4-year-old kinder students in St Arnaud, and to that end we are allowed to utilise more than one module. One module represents 33 places. So to that end, the expansion of our care for pre-prep and early childhood is important. Now, where to place it? Certainly I've had a lot of responses from the community, from users and from people that are concerned about where it goes. I'd like to acknowledge Johanna Medlin here as one of the users. Thank you for coming all the way down. I received, and to that end, I'll use you in my conversation here. Johanna is one of many that have provided us with letters to support option 4, which is in the car park. And fundamentally, that provides users, typically mums, but I've spoken to a couple of dads who utilise the facility. Some with 3, some with 2 children, the opportunity to have one common drop-off point for the Early Learning Centre and 3-year-old and 4-year-old kinder. Now, mothers tend to be time poor. I don't know, are you time poor? Yes. Mothers tend to be time poor, and having more than one location as a drop-off tends to be a bit of a struggle most of the times. It's challenging for working women. Johanna is our physiotherapist in town, so she's got her hands full, particularly when I do my back. So I thank you for your support there. And it's essential that we have a coordinated approach to our delivery of early childhood and kinder. To that end, I will just like to address a couple of the issues that were raised. The view was that there was a need for a wraparound service daycare. Having one location provides that opportunity for parents to drop off their kids at one location and know that they are going to be well cared and maintained. Also provides an opportunity for council services to be shared. And I think, as some of our staff pointed out, when carers are required to go on break or other activities, backfilling is relatively easy. We don't need to employ additional people at remote locations. There's again, the drop-off to the Early Learning Centre has been problematic fundamentally. It has been problematic from a safety point of view because that car park has access both ways, and certainly I've seen some pragmatic moves by children in that car park that may jeopardise their safety. And we were going to be faced with some action within that car park to make things safer. Some of the parents have actually spoken about the mental well-being of the children, their children, being before 3-year-old and then onward to the 3-year-old and 4-year-old kinder. And something I wasn't aware of, and certainly Johanna raised it, which was the provision of the pre-prep 3-year-old, 4-year-old kinder within the heart of St Arnaud allows for excursions into this St Arnaud CBD to socialise the children within the community as well, which is a rather interesting observation. So to that end, I think that utilising the car park space for the 3-year-old and 4-year-old prep is the best outcome, and certainly our infrastructure and resource people have made a very good attempt to make up for the additional car spaces that were going to be utilised by this development. So to that end, I commend this proposal. Thank you.
Councillor Heswell.
Yeah, just a couple of things to add there. Several years ago, we identified the danger where the children were in the park at Market Square, and we erected a fence along that side of the car park to stop them running out in front of cars, because a lot of people use that as a through road. And I think by building the kindergarten where it's being built, we will stop that traffic moving through swiftly like that and make a very safe delivery and pick-up spot for the children, so I recommend it.
Any other councillors wish to speak?
I wish to speak against the motion. I think you're going to make this car park area even more dangerous. You're going to have more people utilising it. We're going to lose car parks, hypothetically, with this change. And this build, we have funding for 15 more car parks for this particular build. Well, we're not going to gain 15 more car parks because we can't because of the space. There's not enough space. This building is going to be in a car park. It's quite a big building. And I don't think we realised how big it was going to be and how much area it was actually going to take up in the car park, but it takes up quite a lot of area in the car park. It takes up quite a lot of the car park. I've been over to Snarned quite a lot recently and had a look at the car park. The car park is quite often nearly full. On a Monday or a Wednesday, you can go there, the car park is busy. It is a busy, busy place. So we're going to make that little area even more busier by, if we propose to put this ELC building in the particular car park. I can understand from a parent's perspective. I'm a mum, and I know what it's like when you've got kids at kinder and kids at school. You're forever dropping off, and you're forever, kinder might go for 3 or 4 hours, and then you've got school hours that are different. So it is busy, and I can understand the convenience of having it all at the one location. But I just think it's going to make that little area busier and more dangerous. And so 43% of people, their preference was option 1, and option 1 is to have the ESL building at the Snarned Primary School on Dunstan Street. So 43% of people supported that by the survey that we did. We had 211 people respond to the survey. Some of the reasons were that to them it just made common sense to have it there near the Snarned Primary School. It's a vacant block, so it's less disruptive. And for no changes to Market Square, and it serves the community well. So Market Square also has a design and development overlay over that particular area. And as Rob has just said previously in another motion, that one of our action plans was to conduct a heritage review, because it's very important to protect these areas. I can't see how having a modular building in a design development overlay is going to really, I think it's going to detract from that area. It's not going to support the overlay. Is actually, that overlay to the Snarned area, commercial precinct, is to address heritage assets, maintain the town's character, and I can't see how this is going to do that. So I'm supporting a lot of the community views as well. I've had phone calls and I've had people say that, they're really, really against it going elsewhere. So my preference would be with option 1. And I suppose it's up to councillors to decide what option we go through with. But just hope they're going into it with an open mind and willing to look at the big picture.
Any other councillors wish to speak?
Yes, please.
Councillor Dempsey.
I think the implementation of modular buildings through the state government it's an important concern to address to support and alleviate the pressures on our system currently. Especially in Snarned, there's a really huge wait list, which then impacts on families, in particular mothers who are generally speaking more of the carers at an early age of children. I know a lot that have been unable to return to work because they haven't been able to get care. So overall, this is a win for our community to support that. And there's been a very extensive community engagement and consultation on this. So we've had a lot of feedback through the community, so thank you to the community for that. I think the proposed option 4 in terms of the car parking, the drop-off loop and the additional car parking that will be provided and painted around the area provides greater, the mechanism is greater for safety concerns. And logistically, the option there is in terms of staffing and moving them from one building to the other, the close proximity of location really supports that and decreases the stress for staff and for our budget and financial constraints from moving from one site to the other, and with the ability of having staff in a central location, given we've got such limited staffing in, all aspects of not just early learning, but everywhere. And this is just another one that would benefit that. And yeah, having weighed up all the options and all the information provided, that's the option I'll be supporting today. Thank you.
Any other councillors wish to speak? Just to add my 2 bobs worth, look, I look at it from the kids' perspective, having 7 grandchildren, nearly had an extra one, and having picked up and dropped off kids at everywhere from early learning to school. It's all about the kids for me, and this gives them, option 4 gives them the best chance at that good start in life, and that's what I'll be following, option 4, and there's no perfect solution in all of these, but credit must go to the staff for working through the issues around car parking. May not be perfect, but it's worked out probably as good as we're going to get. I do hope that the state government comes good with the funding for the fit out of these rooms. Certainly it will be an impost if they don't. So looking forward to tomorrow's budget. Hopefully there's something in there for us. Okay, Councillor Starsovich, you wish to sum up?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Thank you to all that spoke to the 2 and for the other motion. Important to note that 57% of users, 57% of those polled were in favour of option 4. Well, let's put it this way: 57% were in favour of not having it at the primary school. This is a council-owned and run, council-run facility, not a Department of Education-run facility. It's a challenge already to hire appropriately skilled people. So having two campuses is going to be a challenge. The other important thing that I forgot to mention is the schedule. Council officers were advised just before Christmas last year that we were one of 4 councils to receive the magnificent support for this facility. We, the council, were briefed, I think, in April, and we subsequently went to see the various locations. There are only 2 locations within St Arnaud that are appropriately zoned for this development. One is at the primary school and one is at the Market Square. So we only have 2 choices. We had no plan B at one stage. Now we have 2 plans. Certainly, I think it's fair to say that we implore the state government to belly up to the bar and provide a full funding model for the whole of the project, which includes something of the order of $150,000 to $200,000 for the fit out. I'm looking at Trenton now with his sage advice. Yes. So the budget tomorrow is something that's run and done. It's been in the pipeline for 5 or 6 months, and I'm just hoping that the Department of Education have sufficient funds in their rather large budget to support this development. There are only 4 of us in this state, and it would be a really good start to have 4 that were well funded so that they could roll out for the rest of the state. So to that end, thank you. I commend this to the council.
Okay, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Motion's carried. We now have a couple of contractual ones to deal with.
Yes, Mr Mayor, happy to move a motion. We move into closed council to consider confidential matters.
I'll second that, Mr Mayor.
Very good. those items in closed council.
I can get my button on. Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm very pleased to report on the matters resolved in closed council. 14.1, council agreed to award a contract C13 2022-23 Central Park female friendly change rooms to Belden Corporation Pty Limited for their submitted lump sum price. 14.2, council agreed to award contract Q13 2022-23 Concongella Creek Bridge crosshead strengthening, a concrete repairs limited trading as CRL Australia for their submitted lump sum price, subject to a successful negotiation of the alternative design. Thank you.
There being no further business, we'll declare the meeting closed.